Ready?
Ready.
Cool. All right, Ariel. Happy Friday. Happy Pints with Air Day. We're one week away from Expona.
Right.
Cheers to that. But as you can see, I'm starting the episode with much smaller allotment than I should be. I just had a major party foul, and I'm just going to put a shameless plug in for our amazing laser engraved pints glasses, because I like to freeze my pints, like to freeze the glass, and it had a little icy sled on the bottom of my cup, and it slid right off my desk, fell right on the floor, nice and full, didn't break at all, did not break. It's just it, and it kept a little bit of beer. I didn't lose all of it, but it just fell straight down, slid right off, and made a huge mess. But the glass did not break. Pretty impressed by that. But it's so good. You want to talk about what we're drinking?
Yeah. So we're actually revisiting one of our favorite breweries, one that we visited early in our Pints with Air journeys, Upslope Brewing. There used to be a couple buildings down from us at our old location in Boulder, which was fantastic and really dangerous because it was really easy to go over there for lunch and after work. It was great. We loved it. So yeah, Rocky Mountain Kolsch, pretty unique one they make. It's freaking delicious. Love this one.
It's so good. So it's
only a seasonal one, so you only do it for like a month or two out of the year, I think.
I just looked on the website. It looks like they do it year round.
Do they do it now? Okay. It used to be seasonal.
Yeah, which is dangerous because it's
so it might be popular enough for something that they made it year round. That's great.
Yeah, well, it's got pretty unique flavor profile. I mean, it's brewed with Colorado honey, which we have some awesome bees up here.
Yeah.
And sage, and you can definitely taste the sage and the
hint there, yeah.
I'm a big fan. Well, yeah, and then I've got a backup. I've got the Upslope Craft Lager, since I just had my party foul right before our episode.
So yeah, our first one we did the German style Pilsner a couple of years ago, which is definitely a seasonal one they do. But anyway.
Well, I'm a fan. I like Upslope. They've been around, I think, since 2008, and they have a few tap houses, breweries that you can go and
get
their stuff at.
Yeah.
Got a little bit of Upslope mash here. Ooh, yum. Yeah, so the Upslope Rocky Mountain Kolsch, that's probably my new favorite from those guys, at least. Well, so
I have a favorite, a different favorite there. This one's really good. I have a favorite there that is seasonal, and I haven't seen it in a while, and I'm really, really missing it. Anyway, let's move on.
Let's talk about air stuff. And what I think today's topic is actually really exciting. So today's topic is new product.
Yeah. I think we alluded to it, or we actually specifically called it out last week. But so the upcoming VX8 power amplifier, and it's maybe not quite as exciting for some people because we've been talking about this for a couple of years. Actually, we've been saying we're going to release it. We've said it was coming, but it's actually coming now. The chassis parts are a week or two away from actually showing up on our doorstep here, along with assembled boards. So it is very, very close. We can taste it, and it's pretty exciting.
Super close. We've been having a lot of listening time with it recently. I mean, we have it set up right now with some Vandersteen Quattros, and seems to be like a perfect match for that. It's just got kind of the right amount of power, and just like our standard kind of zero feedback and balanced discrete topology throughout. I mean, it works really, really great with any speakers, but it sounds great with those Vandersteens.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point. Is that I'll point out that the VX8 as well as the EX8 has has optional circuitry that we can install specifically for the Vandersteen crossover to be built in to the input stage of the VX8 and the EX8. I know we have a couple of dealers that's very popular with. Probably a lot of our customers and dealers might not even know about it. So there you go. It is an option. It's very simple. And it works great.
I almost wanted to talk about that in a whole other episode though, so we might
okay.
we might have to parking lot.
We can.
Yeah, because it's a really cool thing that doesn't get enough usage just in the hi-fi world in general. It's kind of one of those forward-thinking things that I think Richard is he's been all over it for quite a while, but not everyone kind of understands just the amount of benefit that getting rid of a lot of extra low frequency content that certain drivers are not really best or suited for can really open the sound up tremendously. But yeah, it's something that we can do on a few of our amplifiers, and it doesn't just benefit Vandersteen, and that's kind of why I wanted to save that for another episode. So we'll have a Ayre high pass amplifier episode coming up soon. But yeah, so it is essentially kind of based off of the EX8 power amp.
Yeah, I don't know if we ever did a episode specifically about it, but the whole genesis of the X8 series was built around this concept of very modular design, where we shared a lot of components between different products, so it would be easier for us to inventory and manufacture and as well ideally save costs in that whole process of being able to produce a lot of different products with a few general purpose parts. And so the main board that we use in the EX8 is also used in the EX8. It just doesn't, basically it's missing the headphone amplifier stage as the primary section that's not, as well as the I to V section for the digital input. So the VX8 is pure analog only inputs. So and the same power ratings as EX8 2.0. So
100 watts at 8 ohms, 170 at 4 ohms. Just perfect amount of power for most applications. I mean, really is, with how sensitive a lot of speakers in hi-fi are these days. It's going to get a lot. So how much of a benefit would you say is it that the VX8 has kind of the whole power supply section kind of just dedicated for the power amp? Is there some benefits that you think to be had there, not having to share power with other components?
Yeah, I mean, mostly in the sense that there's less draw on the power supply, and so it's going to be a little bit cleaner. There's going to be less ripple on the raw DC power supply side, and so it's going to be a little cleaner. It might actually gain a couple of watts in actual rating specs because of that. There's just a little less draw on the transformer, so a little quieter. So it is, and just less noise inside. So yeah, it's a cleaner design and just less overall load, and so it'll be a bit more purebred power amp. Yeah. So this is coming in quite a few years after something like the VX5 was developed. It seems like, is there was there much of a different circuit design approach to this than the VX5? I mean, other than like kind of the modularity, or does this kind of have some of the same kind of DNA almost? Yeah, as far as the actual output stage and even the input stage, this has a very similar DNA. It's actually extremely similar. Again, it's really mostly just about parts quality. And so, where we use quite a bit larger transistors and some larger through-hole resistors in in the VX5, AX5 series. This is a bit more compact, has some smaller surface mount transistors, surface mount resistors. Still very good quality, but not quite the level of the X5 series. And we use a different type of capacitor as far as the power supply bypassing and other bypass caps. We use a lower cost series there. Still, as far as what was interesting, especially when we were developing the X8 series, and as we made some natural comparisons, to the X5 series at the time, mm-hmm. is that while it was, while that circuitry has very close DNA, the X8 was the first thing that came to our mind was it was fun and engaging. And while the X5 was extremely refined, top to bottom, just stellar, something about the X8 just made us want to keep listening, just wanted to make us move. It was just fun, and still is.
I would agree. It has been really engaging, really fun, and like that's why I have gotten so much listening time on it. I think lately is because I'll go in there and I'll be like, all right, I just want to listen to a song.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, and then like 5, 7, 10 songs later, I'm like, okay, I got to get back to work. So yeah, it's been great sounding. So you commented on the capacitors. I've got a little sneak there. So what would you say are some of the noticeable things shifting to that kind of style? I mean, that looks quite a bit different than some of the other amp designs I've seen in the past. It looks like most of our amps have had those big fat blue capacitors.
Yeah, the X8 series marked a pretty big shift in our kind of raw DC filtering capacitor topology a little bit. And so we've traditionally used some quite a bit larger either single or either a few capacitors in parallel, usually like Cornell or Nichicon. And I think Charlie had started developing a relationship with Rubicon capacitors, and because they've been well known for many decades for some very special aluminum electrolytic capacitors. Like the whole Blackgate capacitors are made by Rubicon. They're sort of very special construction and very special materials inside. So anyway, so we started talking to them, and we started doing some tests with some of their very generic, relatively cheap, very generic capacitors, and had some really surprising, impressive results. And so we played more and figured out like what some of the why we were getting some of those impressive results. And so it made a big shift to us where we're using these physically smaller capacitors and more of them in parallel. And so the obvious benefits there is that we talk about things like ESR. You are now, when you have a parallel, you are reducing the ESR significantly. And so so both the transformer C is a different type of load, as well as just their ability to react to current draw transients and stuff is quite a bit quicker. And so it's we've done like I said, like the early tests with the EX8 and some more recent tests and some other projects, it's been it works really well and we like it.
I like the concept of it being more, I guess, reactive to the dynamic changing loads. If it's bigger capacitors, it's going to take maybe a little bit more time to charge up, and then when it discharges, that time it takes to charge back up can kind of, to my brain, would probably smear imaging a bit and not allow for full clear.
I mean, theoretically, I mean, I mean, those kind of aspects are, in theory are controlled by other factors of it. And shouldn't change that very much, but just the impedance that they present to the circuit is different. And so the way it behaves and way it interacts with the circuit is definitely different because of that much lower overall system impedance. So yeah, so that's a pretty big feature that we introduced in the 8 series. And so the VX8 takes advantage of that for a large margin.
Yeah, that's kind of like next generation Ayre stuff, sounds like.
Yep. Yeah. Coming to an amplifier near you soon.
Yes. And we've got some of these beautiful new shots that were just done by our photographer that dropped the gear off a couple days ago and gave us some teaser shots, but we should be getting the rest of those photos soon, and we're gonna get this baby up on the web page so you guys can browse its specs and read about it.
Yeah, it'll be actually official once it's actually public on the web page. Then you'll know it's the real thing.
Yeah, well, and I know a lot of our viewers probably haven't. I mean, it's been some years now, but I mean, the 8 series was mostly due out a few years ago, and we had some machine shop troubles and COVID troubles and various things that prevented that from happening, I guess, right? So.
Yep. Yeah. I'm not gonna go over that again.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah,
about it.
Yeah, so it's kind of a new old product. It's something we've been intending to release for a while, but just it's been a very challenging manufacturing atmosphere the last few years.
Yeah, so I know you can speak to this more. I know we've got quite a bit of real positive feedback from people hearing that this is coming soon and being really excited about it. Yeah, like this will fit a lot of our dealers' needs in various locations. And be there's certainly demand for it, which is exactly what we want to hear, of course.
Yeah, well, up until now, it's really again been the QX8 and the EX8, and an integrated amp is great for a lot of people kind of getting into hi-fi or wanting to simplify, but having a separate power amp and or upcoming preamp too makes it easy to integrate those into pre-existing systems with other components and such. And a power amp alone is a pretty common thing for people to change out and upgrade and move on to. And for us to have, again, one of our classic kind of approach, zero feedback, discrete, balanced power amps for under $10,000 basically right now, that's going to be huge, I think, for a lot of people.
Yep.
But yeah, a lot of people excited for it. I mean, we got all sorts of users, from Vandersteen users that want the high pass amp option to just people that are using these with full range setups, and again, it's going to be plenty of power for, I think, most systems out there. And
then on the the manufacturing production side, I'm certainly excited about it. And comparing it to the EX8, which has the volume control, it has the headphones, and so that's it's not difficult, but it's there's a lot of parts to kind of connect, and quite a bit of a process in building an EX8. But so the VX8 is going to be relatively much easier, so we'll be able to produce them very quickly and very readily. So we should be able to bust those out en masse. It'll be great.
No, that is great. I laugh because that EX8 is very involved. It's a big build. It's we wanted to make a kind of a simple, affordable entry kind of product for people, but if they only knew the amount of work it takes to build one of those.
Yeah, when it does it all, it's got volume control, it's got a display, it's got headphone outs, it's got digital inputs. That's the price you pay to do it all.
Yeah. Well, And also just realizing the full potential for the 8 series now from a manufacturing standpoint is very exciting, because
Yep.
we get to start with EX8s because that uses all of the parts pretty much on the board. And then as
Yep.
we move from product to product, we just take a couple parts out and then maybe add a couple parts in here or there.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the core is shared with a lot of the products. So now we can kind of move through product to product and have more available at a given time, it sounds like.
Yep. Absolutely right.
Yeah. Wow, man. It's very exciting. Very exciting. Um, so I guess got balanced
Yeah.
in, balanced
Yeah.
out. Having the balanced out is really cool, because I mean that makes it very easy to integrate with a lot of subwoofers.
Yep.
If you're doing an active sub
Yep.
setup, using that
Yeah.
right there. Oh, that's
Yeah.
perfect.
The other, and I'm pretty sure I think if you move your head a little bit, right in the center, there's a little dip switch, and so that if you have a mono sub, you can put it into mono mode, and it will sum the two channels for those two um, pre/sub output.
That's really cool. I mean, you should have two subs. You should always have two subs if you can. More coverage and less SPL from the woofers is going to end up being a much more pleasing sound. But if you have to sum to one sub, you want that mono signal, because a lot of recordings, all of the bass material isn't always panned to the center. There's like one scenario I can think of is like when I like to mix drums or something, that you've got your tom toms that go from usually the smallest to the floor tom, which usually is off to the side, and that floor tom has as much bass almost as your kick drum, which the kick drum is usually panned in the center from an engineering standpoint, but it doesn't make as much sense to pan that floor tom to the center. And so it's usually off to one channel or the other. And so you kind of, if you're running one channel information to a single sub, you're going to not get the full bass response of that left and right channel
Right.
kind of allocation, I guess, for whatever
Right.
perspective the engineer likes to impart on the recording.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the other thing I wanted to point out that these photos behind you remind me of is that some users may also not know that we offer black as well as the silver.
Yeah.
I'm going to remind people of that. I know we've probably talked about it before, but I have talked to people before, like they didn't even know that we offered black.
Well,
For almost all our products. I'm trying to think of an exception, but almost all our products we offer in both silver and black.
the AirLink isolator is only available in silver.
Yes, yes, and I think the codex is only available in black.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah, yeah. Well, we're working on getting all the products shot in black for the website as well, because there are even a few of our dealers who forget that we have black available as well. But we just haven't had it on the website, but we've offered it for a long time, and there's no upcharge, there's nothing different. It's silver or black, same price, whatever fits your system aesthetics.
Yep.
Yeah, that is a good observation for sure.
Right.
So another thing I've been really impressed about with this amp since we've been running it so much lately is how cool it runs. Like, it actually surprisingly is pretty cool. I know if you put your hand on the bottom of it, because of how we mount our board and our output devices, I know the bottom can get kind of warm, but it does not warm up the listening room at all like any of our other amps that I've come into contact with. So it's kind of got that Ayre signature sound, but it doesn't heat the room up quite as much as some of the other products I've come into contact.
Yeah. 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 For a 100 watt amp, I think it's very reasonable as far as its usability in that regard. And if you talk about like, for instance, the AX5 VX5, which is our next, which is a step up, is they have internal heat sinks. They run quite hot, and so they will dissipate quite a bit of heat and put a decent amount of heat into the room. MXRs, VXRs, they have such mass and they run, also pretty warm. So they'll put a decent amount of heat into the room as well. So they're higher power as well, but still 100 watts. Yeah, I think this thing runs very, very efficiently.
Yeah, well, with all the extra ventilation and stuff from the top panels to.
Yeah, there's vents in the bottom. Yeah, and the vents in the top. I will say that the production version will not have those vents in the back as in that photo there.
Right. Yeah.
That is one of our pre-production chassis from a couple of years ago. So that is all we have available for photography right now, unfortunately. So and so I actually expect that to run a little bit cooler. It'll be a little more efficient without those vents in the back, which kind of short circuits some of the thermal path. If we actually force the air through the bottom vents only, through the top vents only, it'll actually be more efficient in some of its heat transfer to the air.
Interesting. So with like the extra the extra venting can prevent air from flowing, maybe? Is it kind of?
Yeah. Those vents in the back allow both particularly they allow air to come in through those vents, which does not aid in cooling of the material that needs the airflow past it. So all the output devices are mounted to the very bottom of the chassis.
Mm-hmm.
So there are extensive venting in the bottom of the chassis near those devices. And so the vents in the back, that air comes in and bypasses the bottom vents and basically robs some of that cooling capacity.
Okay.
So we learn things over time. We learn with trial and error sometimes. That was one of them.
Yeah, I think you learn more by doing and not thinking about it as much.
And by making mistakes. Yeah, that's absolutely how we learn the most, by making lots of mistakes.
Good, very good.
I will not lie about that.
Well, anyone that says otherwise is lying.
Yes.
Cool. Man, I had another really nice observation about this amp. Oh, yes, the weight of this thing. It is so, like, just maneuvering it, positioning it, putting it in the system. It's perfect. I mean, I know I'm probably never gonna get your approval on it unless I get enough airheads to help me out with making a really cool lightweight Class D amplifier. But this takes care of it. It's like I know there's a lot of audiophiles that are just over the, requiring like a pallet jack to move their amplifier, and it's nice for us to have an amp that you can get a good grip on, and it's like maybe 30 pounds, 32 pounds, something like that, I think.
Yeah, it's essentially the same as an EX8, but I don't remember what that is. So, but somewhere that 30-ish pounds.
Yeah, it's around 30 pounds. But yeah, just being able to lift this thing and put it in a rack or a shelf system or anything, it's really easy to do. So, it's just it's something that I think can sit on the floor nice in between your big floor standing speakers, or just sit perfectly in a rack or a shelf or a cabinet, and it's not going to overheat the thing. It's easy to get it in there. it's just really cool. It's a cool amp. Yeah, I mean, gosh, yeah, it's got all the same, kind of DNA that we've been flowing with for a while, but it's got some really cool new concepts with capacitance and some tricks that we've done with the circuit board that are kind of foreshadowing a lot of new things for Air 2 maybe, um, but yeah, we'll save those for another video. But it's really exciting for us. So it's been something we've been talking about for years, and it's finally coming out. So and people have heard us talk about it, but now that it's here, it's starting to feel real, and it's like, yes, it's exciting.
Yep.
Well, I think that's maybe all I got for our VX8, but we're kind of sleep deprived. We were here pretty late last night testing and getting ready for the show next week. So you guys can tune in to our Pints with Ayre on location next Friday, and we'll be making sure to share a lot of really cool things that we're doing there. I mean, if we got 2 rooms, I might as well throw a quick plug on the other one since we did an episode last week, but we have another room, 719 with our dealer out in Chicago, Home Audio, and a lot of really cool brands in that room too. So I mean, we've got 2 rooms that we've been preparing for over the last couple weeks, and we just got everything out the door today. So actually, you know what, cheers to that, Ariel.
Yeah, cheers to that. That was fun.
It was fun. It was fun. The adrenaline was pumping, and I when I started here last year, I got to hear a lot of really cool stories about past trade shows, staying up all night and cranking things out and getting ready to go. And
yeah, I'm gonna have an episode just on that, because I've repressed some of those memories already, but there's plenty still there.
Yeah, well, based on our experiences last night, I think it'll be smooth sailing. Smooth sailing. But yeah, all right, guys. Well, that's it for today's episode, I think. But yeah, tune in next week. Hang out with us at Chicago. Come see us if you can, and if you can't, hang out with us on YouTube and Facebook, and we'll make sure to keep it exciting and make sure that everyone knows what we're doing, and you guys can see all of our friends that we get to reconnect with there. Because if Ariel and I are not in rooms 1543 or 719, we're going to be kind of mingling and moving about, and you'll get to bump into us there. So come on out.
Go.
All right. Oh man, you're already done. All right. Well, cheers. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend. See you soon. Adios. Cheers.